Hey, Marion Swingler, Confident You podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for believing in yourself enough to press the button to go, you know what? I need to get some more confidence in this area. I actually want to make sure that if someone comes to me, I have more confidence in this area. Confidence to speak on the subject of why evil people don't hurt. Now, I know that sounds a bit out there. You're like, wait, what? Evil people don't hurt? Yes, we are about to talk about this. But for this discussion, I had to bring someone back. There was only one person that I wanted to have this conversation with. She's actually my girl. We started talking and I was like, wait, pause. We're going to bring this to the Confident You audience. So coming back from episode 22, if you have not seen episode 22, you are definitely missing a valuable component. If you are in a relationship, thinking about being in a relationship, you're in marriage, thinking about marriage. Listen, there is a component of marriage that you don't want, but you have to be able to see clearly. So she is the infidelity coach. It's amazing. Who needs a coach for that? Someone who's been hurt, someone who doesn't understand what's going on. So this is why I brought her back for this conversation, because we were talking and I was like, well, evil people don't hurt. And she's like, wait, I have an opposite thinking of this. So bringing back the one, the only, the amazing, listen, phenomenal woman she is, Briaina Latrice.
Hi. Hello.
You beautiful. Listen, I want to remind my audience exactly who you are. Listen, Briaina is a captivating TEDx speaker. Listen, founder of Life After Infidelity. An affair recovery coach. Listen, an affair recovery coach. How profound. And host of Life After Infidelity podcast. Listen, the reason she is so well versed, the reason that she has the insight that she has is because of her own personal experience. That's why she's here today. I have some personal experience and she has some personal experience, but hers, she has fine-tuned and honed in on exactly what it means to be an affair recovery coach. And I'm honored that you would take the time to join us yet again. How are you, Anna?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back.
No problem at all. I appreciate you answering the call to come back and discuss this topic of why evil people don't hurt. Now, before don't nobody need you. Yes, I had to get real. Don't make that face. Don't make that face. We're gonna get into
you already know how I feel. So
we're gonna get into yes, I know, but they don't know. But before we even get into that, I want you to tell people just a little bit of the things that you've been doing since episode 22. What is it that you have been up to?
Oh yes. So I think I had lunch my podcast when we did our episode.
Yeah.
Wrapping up my 49-day devotional. And so I'm excited because at the top of 2024, I'll be releasing my first book and actually putting author behind my name. So that will be exciting. Getting ready to launch my first event. So if you're in the Dallas area, February of 2024, it's actually going to be February the 10th. I'm going to be doing a dancing event called Dancing Through Love. So if you're a woman, you love dancing, or even you don't love dancing, but you just want to be around a lot of women and learn how to love on yourself and love your body, come on out to the Dancing Through Love event. And other than that, girl, just staying busy, promoting Life After Infidelity, finishing up this book, and trying to help save the world.
Trying to help save the world. I just want y'all to know how modest she is. Please let them know what your TED Talk was on. Oh. What did I do?
It Because people always tell me this stuff all the time. They're like, you need to start giving yourself credit for everything that you do. I was
That's
just in
okay.
another podcast episode, and the girl she said the same thing. She was like, wait, you go to a TEDx too? I was like, okay. Yeah, so I also have a TEDx talk out, and it actually was over imposter syndrome. And I love the name. It's called Dear Imposter Syndrome. It's the lie for me. And so, yeah, I have a TEDx talk, and it's over imposter syndrome.
Oh, no.
In the ebook.
Yeah, no. Yes. No. You're going to give me just a little bit of, hey, what did I do? I don't deserve what Ted got. You give the confident you audience just a little bit, sum it up, just a taste. So that
Yeah,
they
for
will
sure.
be interested. All right, let's hear it.
Okay. So in the TEDx talk, I just talked about, like, for the most part, a lot of overachievers. What is imposter syndrome, right? It's basically where people who are really successful actually doubt themselves and feel like they're an imposter. So typically you'll see that, like, in overachievers. Maya Angelou actually talked about how she always felt like she was an imposter, even though she had the proof in the pudding, right? Everybody in the world who doesn't know Maya Angelou, and she even talked about that. And so in the TEDx talk, I just kind of give you some tips and tools for how to be aware of if you are dealing with imposter syndrome, but then how to combat those thoughts, because the thing is, the proof is in the pudding. And so just trying to help overachievers to stop doubting themselves and helping them to know that if they're in the room, it's because they're deserving to be in the room. It doesn't have anything to do with, needing some DI numbers to be up and stuff like that. But you are definitely deserving of the space that you are in because you've worked hard to be in that space.
You worked hard to be in that space. You are definitely deserving to be in that space. Well, we welcome you here. You are definitely deserving to be in this space, in this time, with us discussing why evil people don't hurt. And you shake your head. Nay.
No.
Listen. Okay, so this is why I say evil people don't hurt. I don't even mean it in the sense of that people are evil, because I know that Ephesians 6:12 talk about we wrestle not against principality of flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and mights. And so I know that there is a spirit. And what I mean by don't hurt is, have you ever, let me give this example to the affair recovery coach. Have you ever been cheated on and then you just felt like that person didn't feel anything? You're asking questions and there's just a blank look there. So that's where I'm referencing that statement. Why evil people don't hurt. Because I just want to investigate how they can just stand there. Anyone who's been cheated on and the person is nonchalant about it. Or the sorry is so empty and you feel that there's no weight to the apology. That's what I mean by evil people don't hurt. But you even brought it closer to home with the title of your TED Talk, Imposter Syndrome. Do you think that there's a such thing as I did it and I really didn't mean to do it? I did it. I didn't mean to do it, or I did it and I didn't mean to do it in terms of hurting you.
That's
Did
a
you
good
just
question.
breathe? Did you just exhale?
I did. I took a very, very deep breath. Because you know what? I think if the person comes to you, then I think that I could buy that a little bit in terms of I didn't mean to hurt you. If they just come out and say it, because what that tells me is like, okay, they've thought about it. It's killing them inside. And I just want to get this, I want to get this out in the open and move forward, hopefully restore the relationship. But if you found out about your other person, you caught your person and then they say that, I think what they're really saying is that I didn't mean to get caught.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I take it.
Okay. Well, staying in the vein of why evil people or the evil deeds that people do, they don't really hurt from them.
Mhm.
Your face was not one in agreement in the statement that I made. Evil people, can you explain why?
Yeah. So, what I said was that evil people do hurt. They just show it differently. So instead of like where you have a lack of, where you have empathy and compassion and understanding, that is typically voided in people who are still hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it seems like they have this thick skin and they're able to move past stuff and nothing shakes them. But it's not, because honestly, they can't move on because they're battling with their own internal, I don't want to say demons, but their own internal monsters inside of themselves. And so, when you say they don't hurt, they actually do hurt. It's just that they're hurting inside.
Okay. With them hurting inside, how much compassion am I supposed to have? Because I have literally had conversations with people who have been cheated on, male and female. And they have said, I have been a part of the conversation and have said, listen, that person who cheated had no remorse whatsoever. There was kind of a arrogant what did you expect? Look at me. Or what did you expect? It's me. Or what did you what did you expect? You're not doing this or that or not available or whatever it is, but there's always but I don't feel a hurt. I don't feel remorse. I don't see it's not evident. I don't see any evidence of pain. How do you you're sitting there, I have been bawling. We won't say me. I can say me, bawling, crying, snot running down my face. Are you laughing at my?
Hey, no. I'm laughing at the memories because I've been there too, friend.
Did you say that? Isn't it a beautiful thing? That's so beautiful. I'm laughing at the memory. Okay, we'll talk about the healing of that. We'll talk about the healing of the laughing at the memory. That hit different. I have been there. Yeah. And I know how that feels. I have been there for people and seen them go through it. And I just know how that feels to have that nonchalant disregard. So that's why I'm like, evil people or that evil deed that someone just did, it seems as though, it appears as though all the evidence points to, you're not hurting. You don't care. This isn't bothering you. How do you guide people in a situation as a recovery coach for infidelity? How do you guide people through looking at someone who's showing no remorse?
Yeah. So there's a thing like where, because, my tagline is removing the shame of your decision to leave or stay, because I don't subscribe to the belief that once a cheater, always a cheater. There've been lots of marriages that, have started, have had infidelity in them, but have since healed and are better, honestly, because of those infidelities. Right. But what I always teach my clients is you really need to learn if that person is a candidate to rebuild trust with. And I've learned that a lot of people are lacking how to determine if this person is a good candidate to rebuild trust with. And so what that looks like is there's a couple of things. The first thing is accountability. So when, the betrayal is brought up to the person, how do they respond? Is it I, or is it you, right? And so a lot of times if it's you, meaning that your partner is putting all the blame on you for why they cheated, for why they stepped away. And this doesn't deal with infidelity. I had another woman, I was at a conference speaking, and she came up to me and she was like, I want you to know that my husband hasn't cheated on me, but it's ending in divorce. And she was like, but what you're teaching applies to me as well. And if I would have known this, it would have applied to me. So just know this doesn't just apply to infidelity, but accountability. So when you bring up, an offense to your partner, how do they respond to that offense? So do they take accountability? The second part to that is, are they really trying to understand where you're coming from, and how that offense has truly made you feel, right? So are they downplaying the offense of like, oh, well, look at me. Oh, well, you weren't giving me sex at home. Oh, well, look how you dress every day, or are they really trying to understand how this offense has affected you, right? The third part, which I honestly believe is one of the most important pieces to this, is ability, right? And basically what that means is that, does this person have the ability to be the partner that you want to build with and grow a future with? Because that's the space that a lot of I don't really deal with a lot of men, so I'm speaking to what I know, and it's women. And that's the space that a lot of women deal with, is that they get stuck in the letting go. And they stay stuck in situations longer than they should have. And so when you see how a person is responding or how a person is treating you, but yet we still continue to, we've all been there. We stay in relationships longer than, and we know they don't have the capacity and the ability to be who we want them to be, or to be what we desire out of any type of relationship, and shoot, even friendships, right? And so then the last part to that is, and girl, look, I'm making sure I want to give them, because I actually revamped them a little bit. But then the next part to that is track record. So after you guys have talked about all of these things, what's the track record? Are they actually following through with the things that you said that you need from them? Are they actually honoring, the request that you've asked in order to rebuild and to restore the trust, whatever it was that broke it? And so you have to look at those things. And within those things, there's a lot of a lot of steps within those 4 that I just listed out. But it's definitely like a whole process of learning if this person, you can rebuild with them.
Okay.
Trust.
Learning if you could rebuild trust with them is very important. That track record. What? I apologize, but I'm cracking up on the inside because I know what I want to say. I want to make sure it comes out the way I mean it to come out. What is the percentage? What is the realistic percentage of what you want after you've said that? What should you really expect? If someone has been this way for this long, how much should you expect? Because do you think that you're just going to see 100% of, okay, here we go, the track record has totally made an adjustment? What is that ratio looking like?
Yeah. So you're saying, like, as far as like, it's not going to be an immediate result, or?
Right. Like, what's the graduation through that progress?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that, because for sure, and that's one thing that I always talk about, right, is that trust isn't built overnight. And also understanding that forgiveness and trust are 2 completely different things, right? So you forgive the person, that means that you're forgiving them for the offense. However, that does not mean that the trust is completely restored. Okay. 2 separate things. So I forgive you for the offense. So that's basically the starting line, right? Because I'm cutting off, holding you responsible in a sense for the offense, right? So that's I'm cutting that off, right? However, you're starting now where you have to rebuild that trust. And we all know, right, when we get into new relationships, and I'm talking about friendships, partnerships, businesships, workships, you don't just start off trusting them 100% of the time, right? So there's small things that I have them work towards to see if, hey, you're going to honor that thing, right? And so you start off with small things because you're not supposed to give your heart all the way to this person who has betrayed it once, right? So in order to protect yourself, you have to start off really small. And so what they do is they typically have the conversation, or I'll have my client have the conversation with her partner about what are the things that she needs to see right now, right? That can be like some immediate gratification. I need you to find an accountability partner or a mentor, right? Or find you a life coach, because a lot of them will say, hey, I have a life coach that's helping me, and a fair recovery coach that's helping me. I need you to go find you one, right? Mm-hmm. And that's it. One step, right? And then you say, okay, when can I expect this to be done? Or you can say, hey, 3 weeks, let me know how it goes. You finding something. If they come back to you in 3 weeks and they haven't even started looking, they haven't put forth no effort, you know what I'm saying? That's a track record. That's letting me know, okay, they're not serious about investing in this. And so when you talk about rebuilding trust happens incrementally over time. You can forgive. You no longer hold that offense against them, but that doesn't mean that the trust is completely restored.
How do you, as the person, you're saying you no longer hold that offense against them? Mm-hmm. How do you help yourself to not do that? I know people that bring things up, constantly bringing up the past after saying, I forgave. How would you help guide someone in that situation from doing that? Let's stop. If you say you're forgiven, this is what it looks like.
See, and that's the thing. I kind of hate saying it that way, because people will always be like, oh, she's saying that you need to just, don't bring it up to, anything like that. And that's not what I'm saying, right? Because for sure, you're going to have triggers, and those triggers are going to come back up, right? But here's what that looks like. Because again, if you have a person that has shown you that he takes accountability, that has shown you that he understands, that has shown you that he has the ability to rebuild that trust, right? When you do, what you do is you guys have this conversation. And this is actually one of those baby steps that we talk about too, is like, hey, I'm going to be triggered. And when I'm triggered, I'm going to text you and let you know, hey, I'm having a moment right now. How can you reassure me, right? And that's actually something that I just had happen with another client. Is she decided to stay with her partner, and they actually worked it out. He is a great person. He is doing so much better. It's amazing. It makes me excited. But she would actually, they had that conversation, and she even told him, she said, hey, I'm working on my healing journey. And at that time, she hadn't even forgiven him yet. And she was like, I'm working on forgiving you. But, instead of me, when I am triggered, responding in anger, and calling you up and talking crazy to you, you know what I'm saying? And yelling and screaming, here's what that's going to look like. If I hit you up and I just text you and I'm like, hey, today I'm having a bad day. I've been triggered by that. I heard a song, or, I remember the text message that I saw that you sent the girl. And then they talk about, okay, well, what do you need from me when you need those triggers? Because at the end of the day, it's really just about communication. So you have to learn how to communicate with your partners so that you can, because this is going to be difficult, right? Rebuilding trust after betrayal of any kind is going to be difficult, and you have to know how to communicate. So you have to have that open communication.
Open communication is definitely something you need in every relationship, just as you said. How do you open communication again with that person that I feel this event was something that was evil towards me,
Mm-hmm.
or that's how I felt after it happened. But I just feel like you're not hurt. I'm not getting any remorse. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
feeling anything. How do I then communicate anything to that person? Or is there a limit to how much I'm even trying to communicate to that person?
Yeah. So you're saying that the person has created an offense against you, but they don't have any remorse for what they've done?
Yes.
So my answer to that would be you don't. You know, if that person has shown you that they have a lack of remorse for you and how you are as a person, then it is time for you to acknowledge the truth to you and say, hey, it's time for me to make this hard decision to leave this relationship. And again, that's where I say, like, a lot of people stay in situations longer than they should because they find it hard to let go. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's the thing. I think that in any form of betrayal, we all have to do a bit of self-reflection as well. And we all have to look at the facts of, like, okay, well, how is this person responding? And then you have to say, okay, this person isn't showing that he cares for me or she cares for me, or, you know what I'm saying, or my feelings. And so that's when you have to have that hard conversation with yourself and say, look, I deserve better. I deserve more. And it's going to be hard, but I'm going to walk away from this.
Whew, yes, yes, yes. It is going to be hard, but I'm going to walk away from this. Do you feel like there is a situation or a statement that you can give to the person that stays, and the person is still in a disrespectful state? I think it's beyond disrespect. It's at some point you have to just feel, yeah, you have to feel the abuse of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guide someone through? What does that look like when you say you have that hard conversation with yourself? How do you
Mm-hmm.
guide someone through that hard conversation with yourself?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You just state the facts of the reality, right? So what that would look like is, okay, Brianna, the person that I've chosen to stay with, I've asked them to do XYZ to make me feel seen, to make me feel validated, to make me feel secure. And they haven't done that. So what is it in me that is allowing myself to be mistreated to this capacity by this person? What is it in me that is attracted to wanting to stay in something that I am getting treated less than? Why am I afraid? What is this fear of leaving connected to? What is this fear rooted in? What is this fear attached to? Why can't I leave knowing that this person isn't showing up and giving me what I said that I need? And, those are hard questions to really ask yourself, but you have to ask yourself, and you have to be true and accepting, right? Because that's the first thing, is you have to be truthful with yourself, and you have to state it. Look, I've tried to make it work with this person. I've said I wanted to stay with this person, but the reality is that this person is still treating me like a dog. This person is still cheating on me. And at what point am I going to look at myself and love myself enough to say, you don't get to treat me less than what I know that I deserve? There's a saying that says, you will allow people to treat you one step lower than you treat yourself. So if you allow people to walk all over you, treat you like dirt, then I have to ask you, what are the things that you're saying to yourself in your alone time and your quiet time in your mind? Work on that. See who you are. See yourself. And once you learn how to love yourself, then you won't allow anybody else to treat you less than you treat yourself.
There it is. Once you learn how to love yourself, how do you help someone even see that? I know people that It's saddening to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's to be in the presence of someone who does not see their greatness to the magnitude, to the depths that they put themselves under in every situation.
Mm-hmm.
In every situation. How do you help that person even understand, okay, you're looking at me and you saying, oh, you deserve this and you deserve that, but then when you talk about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're smiling.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to say?
I just love the question. I now see where you're going, so I'm just like, I love it.
Yeah, because you're talking so, it's like you're derogatory. It's now I'm because I'm speaking into what you're saying is if you don't see the value in yourself, then why would you expect someone to treat you any more? I can't say better than the way you're treating yourself, but I don't know any other term to say in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
How can you allow someone, why would you think anyone would? But then I look at the person, they don't think that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you do in those instances? Blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you get someone to see themselves, the value
I
in
see.
them? How do you help someone to see themselves? Because, you know, if someone gets cheated on and that's my good girlfriend, she coming to her other good girlfriend and you're sitting there like, dude, but you're amazing. You're this, you're that. You're trying to convince them. How do you get them to see it?
Mm-hmm.
Is there an exercise? Is there something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So typically, depending on what level, what state of mind they're in, I might ask a couple of different questions, right? And so one question that I love to ask people is, what are you angry at? Because what you'll find is that women who've been cheated on, they suppress so much, right? That they haven't really gotten to the core of what they're truly angry at, right? I was at a conference. I was speaking at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and a lady got up to ask me a question because her husband had cheated on her. And, she broke down. After I got through answering her question, she just broke down, right? And so I got off of the stage and I went down to her and I was like, you're angry, aren't you? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, what are you angry about? And she's just crying. And I said, what are you angry about? And I was like, you're angry that he cheated on you, right? She was like, yeah. I was like, you're angry that he left with the other woman and didn't stay with you, right? Yeah. I was like, you're angry that you lost your baby and he still hasn't hit you up to say, hey, how are you doing after the loss of our child, right? And she was like, yes. And I was like, so say all the stuff that you're angry about. And she was like, I'm angry that you broke me. I'm angry that you hurt me. I'm angry that you didn't choose me. And that is where you get to see yourself, because for so long you have been living in the shadows of fakeness. You have been living in the shadows of this mask where you're making yourself appear like you Gucci, like you moved on, like you've healed. And so that's why I say hurt people haven't moved on. Hurt people haven't seen themselves. They're living in a mask and showing up in that hurt, but that hurt is so broken that the hurt that they're doing to other people doesn't even penetrate through them. And so what does it look like? It's allowing me to show them and to pull out all of the things that they really feel, all of the things that they're ashamed of, all of the things that they're hurt about, all the things that they're embarrassed at. I get them to call those out. And then once they release that, we got an empty canvas and we can start the healing.
Come on here. We got an empty canvas and we can start the healing. Listen, where's the paint? She ready? She ready. Listen, yes. Mona Lisa.
Bricasso.
Yes. So what does that look like? You start painting. What's the first step? What is the first thing you get? You now have this blank canvas. What do you get?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Acceptance. So after, they call it out. So, I call it a pity party is what I call it. I call that first step a pity party, which is allowing them to call out, everything that they're angry about, their hurts, letting them just cry it all out. And then the next part to that is just accepting it, right? And having you to state it. Hey, my marriage ended in infidelity. My husband cheated on me. But it takes a lot to get there where you can actually start sharing your story with other people. But for you, the first step is to actually accept it, right? And so once you accept like everything that has happened, that means that you've acknowledged it, right? Because we can't fix what we don't acknowledge. So now that you've accepted it and it shows that you're acknowledging it, then we can navigate towards going back again and looking at those things of like, okay, well, why did I attract that type of person? Why did I allow that behavior for so long? And asking those really deep rooted questions. What is this that this fear attached to? Is it rejection that I'm dealing with, that I have an issue with? Is it abandonment? Because we all know that a lot of things always go back to like those childhood wounds, right? And mine was rejection and abandonment. So that's why I kind of bring those up a lot. But really kind of getting down to the core of, okay, what is it? And then from there, just navigating through it. Like, okay, one of the things that I have a worksheet that I have my clients do too is asking themselves questions about trust. How do they feel about trust? How does trust show up in their lives, right? What is their relationship with trust, and just getting them to see that. But the next thing is forgiveness, but it's forgiveness of self. Because I don't worry about for my clients forgiving the betrayer until later on in the process. But we can't do anything and we can't move forward in any other steps until they forgive themselves. And you have to forgive yourself for everything. Forgive myself for staying longer than I should. Forgive myself for turning my head when I would see you send a text message to that chick and I didn't say anything. Forgiving myself for going back when I said I was done the 5th time and I still took you back and you still cheated. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that you're angry with you at, and you've got to learn how to forgive yourself for those.
Okay. So let's back up just a little bit. The infidelity, you find out about infidelity in your marriage, in your relationship, and then you turn ugly. You start with infidelity in the relationship. How do you help someone when they did it as a get back?
Yeah.
How does that what does the process of unwrapping that to help someone heal look like? Because I know it's your mission to help people heal from infidelity, but what happens when it happens to you and then you end up taking up the same crime?
Ooh, baby. Day 7 in my 49-day devotional is titled Get Your Lick Back. Well, it's titled Get My Lick Back, right? But it actually addresses that. It addresses exactly what you said. Because a lot of people are so hurt. I actually did a call with a client and she was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Brianna, I did get my lick back, and my question always is, oh, how'd that make you feel?
How'd that work out for you? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to interrupt. You made me put my water down. I didn't drink yet.
Everybody who has told me that they've gotten their lick back and cheated back on their partner because their partner cheated on them tells me that it did not help their hurt. So responding with revenge, thinking that you're going to get an up on them, it's never as satisfying as you think it is. And in the end, it actually causes you more pain,
Ah,
you
why do you
know?
think, what type of pain are you referring to?
Because let's say even if you want to rebuild the trust back. So now y'all both gotta figure, like, but now y'all both have to, and you learn that you've just built a hole deeper for the relationship, right? And like I said, it's not it's not making you feel any better from the previous offense, you know? And so now you're more broken because you're confused about, okay, I slept with this dude, but now you got to not only are you now dealing with your hurt, now you're having to deal with your partner's hurt and convince your partner that XYZ didn't mean anything to you. And so now what you're creating is what was something that was hurtful and that could potentially, you guys could work through. Now you're creating this toxic situation, right?
Yeah.
And that becomes almost like unbearable, where it just becomes toxic. I go on and on about that. But yeah, you typically, when you try to respond with revenge, you just make the situation worse.
Hmm.
And it never makes you feel as better as you thought it would make you feel.
Okay. Have you ever dealt with someone, you were talking about revenge? Have you ever dealt with someone who took the revenge out in a different manner? Someone cheated, and then you did a financial transaction that was just, again, abusive to the relationship, because you knew this money was set aside for this, or it was for the car that was being saved for, the home that was being saved for, and now you have just plummeted the finances, and now they have to be rebuilt, or it's just a deeper trench that you put yourself in. How do you see that playing out, or recovery from something like that?
Mm-hmm. So I haven't dealt with that personally, but it's funny because I have a friend that's a therapist, and one of her clients is dealing with that because, he cheated, and then so now she's spending all of the money, but they have kids, and it's like at the end of the day, like, why would you put yourself through, like, because you're suffering as well. And if you have kids, your kids are suffering as well. Like, if you're going in debt because you think that you're getting your partner back by going and buying something that you guys know that you can't afford, it's like, to me, it shows me that that's where your mindset is. And so you're not looking at restoration, right? You're just looking at revenge. And that would be where I would even look at the betrayer and say, look, they toxic too. I'm serious, because it's like, I get it that, when we're hurt, and a lot of times we don't necessarily think about our actions and things like that, because we just want the other person to hurt as bad as we're hurting. But I think that when you don't consider, like, how that could affect, your housing situation, where you gonna sleep and eat, it's like, because I haven't necessarily dealt with that as a client, but I would say that, to me, when you make decisions like that affects more than you, and especially if you have kids, it can affect your kids. Like, you're showing that you're selfish as well, and you're not caring about restoration.
Selfish as well, and not caring about restoration. How do you think this plays out on the children that are there? Do you find that, well, the having children component,
Mm-hmm.
do you find that people will stay because of children longer in infidelity? How do you help someone who's on that path?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most women do stay longer because of their children. But one of the things that I'm finding, and that I'm telling my women, is that your kids already know. So, to me, what I'm learning, right, from the women that I'm working with, is that they use the kids as a crutch, but really they're afraid to leave. But it's easy because they have kids to say, oh, I'm staying for my kids. No, you're not. You're just afraid to leave. And so that's what we're going to tackle. We're going to tackle the fear behind you leaving. I even had a client a couple of weeks ago tell me that her kids came to her and was like, Mommy, we know you're sad. We know what dad is doing. You know what I'm saying? And she was just talking about how her anger has been trickling down to her kids. Like she's being angry with them now and, just snappy. And her kids, they brought it to her attention. And I've heard that a lot of times where people have been like, why are you still with dad? And so I would say that don't use your kids as a reason for why you're staying. And I'm having our brother Shay Willis come on my show, because that's one thing too, is that a lot of women that I'm working with too, who are afraid to leave, especially that have kids, is because of finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a toxic partner, they might threaten you with finances and say they're not going to help support. And so what I do is work with my clients on getting a safety plan together. So how can you prepare to actually leave? And so we develop a safety plan. And that's one of the things that Shay is going to come on and talk about, is getting that budget in order. You know what I'm saying? Making sure your numbers and everything are in a row so that you can leave, and not have to worry about anything financially from that other partner.
My goodness. Shay's coming on there.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hot episode. That is going to be amazing.
Yeah, because a lot of women talk about that. They're like, I want to leave, but he is the sole, income in the house, and I won't be able to make it by myself. And so that's why I'm staying. And that's valid, right? But no one should have to stay in a situation where they're severely unhappy because of finances. And so just developing that safety plan to get you prepared. Now, when I left, but again, I didn't have kids, but when I left my partner, and this was just like the first time I left him, I only had $10 to my name. So my mom had to finish paying like my cell phone bill. One of my cousins cashed at me a big sum of money to get me through the rest of the month. One of my close friends took me to the grocery store and brought me groceries for the rest of the month. So I just made the decision to leave because I couldn't take it anymore. But other people don't. But I say that to say this: when you do make the decision to step out on faith, God is going to bring those blessings to you. And so a lot of times we're overthinking things, and all God is saying is, I want you to trust me. Don't look at, don't look at the present. Don't look at what it's saying right now. Just step out on faith. And that's what I did. I stepped out on faith. I didn't know these folks was going to stand up for me and help me get through, but they did when I made the bold decision that I was done.
Walk by faith and not by sight. My goodness. I think that is a perfect end to this conversation. I do want you to join me in the after party. I do have a question. You said you worked with a client and her partner who cheated on her is now they've moved past the infidelity and he's doing well. You literally said, I'm happy with the progress he's making. My question being, I'm glad he cheated. Listen, I want to talk about, I'm glad he cheated.
Yep.
You said, yeah, okay, good. So in the after party, I want to address, I'm glad he's cheated. And also how to have that hard conversation. You keep saying, have that conversation. I actually want to go through what the components of that conversation should be for that hard conversation. And you also said the first time I left. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Join us in the after party. Listen. Briaina Latrice, I appreciate you coming through and yet again giving more value to the Confident You podcast audience. Most people think they go through things and they're the only ones going through. So I
Mhm.
pray that this lands on the heart of someone going through this situation, or a friend of someone who's going through this situation, and they are able to understand, listen, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
think you special in that way? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You're looking at two people right here. You've
Mhm.
heard plenty of stories. We've referred to friends and clients and friends with clients. It's a never-ending process
Yeah.
of examples that we can pull from. Listen,
Yeah.
Holly Berry said Eric Benet cheated. Um, Janet Jackson said that Jermaine Dupri, he admitted to cheating. So
Mhm.
if you feel as though you're the only one and that you're that, I don't want to, I get special is all I can say, that you're that unique and that special, that only this is happening to you. This is an untruth. I pray that this is a safe space where if you have any additional questions, put them in the comments. I'm going to go
Yeah.
back. We will go back and we will come back and address any other concerns or questions that you have. I thank you again for joining us. But before you get out of here, I want you to share with everyone the amazing things. I'm bubbling over with joy. All of the amazing things that you're doing and that you have going on, the opportunities that they will have to work with you. Please.
Yes. Okay. So you guys, you can follow me on Instagram at life_after_infidelity_. I post really helpful videos on there on that page. You can also go to my website at lifeafterinfidelity.net. And you can you can sign up for a free discovery coaching call. I also have a free ebook. It's about boundary setting, and it's a fun way to set boundaries with your partner. And so if you're interested in getting a copy of that, the URL is on there, but then you can also send me a text message. And just text ebook, right? Free ebook, and I can get you the ebook as well. You can also go on the website and book a free 15-minute discovery call with me, and let's see if we're a good fit to work with each other. Like I mentioned at the top of this year, my first book, Healing the Heart from Infidelity, a 49-day devotional, will be coming out. So definitely follow me on Instagram and TikTok at life_after_infidelity on TikTok as well. Because I'll be giving you guys updates and things about that, about the release of that book. And then you guys, please go and follow me on my podcast, Life After Infidelity. And you can find that on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the things. I'm everywhere, y'all. I'm out there. And if you are in the DFW, the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, follow me as well, because I'll have my event coming up on Saturday, February the 10th, 2024, and it is Dancing Through Love. So I would definitely love for you to come out and be a part of that. And yeah, those are the many ways you can stay connected with me.
And yeah, those are the many ways you can stay connected. Y'all saw her having me up here working my little fingers out, getting all this information out. When I say my girl is out here with it, I need you to say this one. I need you to say that.
Oh,
We're not gonna do
yes.
that.
So after my the 49-day devotional launches, I'll be launching the volume 1 of my first book, Where Healing Wants You to Be, Life After Infidelity, volume 1. And so I'm excited about that book, because what that book does is it tells you stories of like what a person is going through in infidelity, and then at the end of each story I give you tips and tools on how to navigate that particular experience or situation. And then I also have guided meditations at the end of each book, at the end of each chapter as well, to go with that. And I do want to say, as far as healing the heart from infidelity, that is not a book that is solely for people who have been cheated on. If you have a loved one that has been cheated on, on, I encourage you to cop the book as well, because it's going to put you in the mindset of what they are going through and how you can best support them.
All right. My goodness. Going to put you in the mindset. My goodness. I'm honored that you were here with us yet again. I want to know if you can give just a few confident tips. Listen, for that woman who's just found out, for that friend who was just told, what that first looks like. I know a lot of people, they're like, don't cry, girl, you better than him, girl. How do you get it out?
Cry. But that's for real. What I would say is this though. Do not make any decisions. So do not feel like you have to tell the betrayer what you're thinking at that moment. You do not have to tell the betrayer if you're going to take them back or if you're done. The best thing you can do, because you're wrapped up in your own emotions and you're in so much pain, is that you don't ever want to make a decision when you're in a traumatic state. So the best thing you can do is not to feel pressured. And because too, our friends will tell us too, what you gonna do? They'll come at you. What you gonna do, girl? What you gonna do? Oh, you better than me. You better than me, honey. I'd be gone. Like I tell my clients, you're in a processing season right now. And that is okay. You're processing your feelings, you're processing your emotions, and you're processing your decisions. You don't owe anybody any decision or you don't owe anybody any explanation for what you're going to do right now. You're just in a processing season, and that is okay.
You're in a processing season, and that is okay. Yes, it is. Indeed, it is. Thank you yet again for coming to join us. Please check out Life After Infidelity podcast. You have your next episode dropping when, and when will Shay be on there?
So my episodes drop every Monday at 7 a.m. So you can have something good to listen to when you on your ride home. And then so I do batch content. So I'm starting back season 2 in December. And so Shay will be on in 2024, beginning of 2024.
All right. Yeah. I appreciate you yet again. Thank you for coming to share the value that you have for the women that have been, for those that have been cheated on, for those friends who need to be able to help their friends better maneuver through. You don't want to give ill advice in this moment. So definitely listen to this episode and take these notes, and it'll help you at least guide your friend. If you're a real friend, you don't want to add to the issue. So that part. So we'll see you in the after party. Thank you, Latrice. Give me just a moment, Brianna. Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Please like, share, subscribe, follow. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Marion Swingler, and as well at ConfidentYou_podcast. There's so much more coming. Listen, if you have an event, and let's just say you want to make sure you capture those moments. Most people think events as I have a wedding, I have a graduation, do you know that just capturing yourself for your birthday and just making that photo album for your loved one, it's just an amazing thing to do. You want to get your family together and just capture, this is my family. You want to get that family portrait. You want to get those personality shots for each of your family members. I have just the place for you to call and get that done. Listen, at a Confident You discount, reach out to Tanya Stokes and her staff over at Compassionate Designs. That number is 240-585-0669. And of course, if you are suffering at the hands of domestic violence, or you know someone who is, please Call Bethany House at 1-888-80-HELPS. That is 43577. Or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 7233. Everyone, have a blessed day. I pray that everything that Briaina shared was definitely something. There was things there that you can watch out for. There are flags. There are things that you can see in situations so that you'll be able to get ahead of when people do evil things to you and it seems as though they're not hurting, but it's hurting you. You just want to pay attention for those things. All right. Have a great one and see you next time.